Alright, so on our import week, we're getting this thing ready for a big road trip, and we're doing a 100,000 mile tune-up. The oil changes have been kept up pretty regular, so we're going to be putting a Fram oil filter in today and Castrol VTX5W30. We do warm the engine up because it's a lot easier for the engine to take the new oil in when it's been warmed up than, say, a cold start that hasn't been started all day. Stay tuned. So to get to the oil change part of this, you do have to remove this lower cover on these Nissan Pathfinders and Infiniti QX4s. It's just a shield to keep stuff out. Also today we're going to be working on the belt. The number one complaint for this QX4, the belt squeal. And we're going to explain and show you why that happens. There is a fix called the EPROM belt. They're new technology. They actually work really good. They do make up for slight differences in wear and tear in your idlers and tensioners and whatnot. This one does not use an automatic tensioner. It actually uses a jack screw for its adjustment. So we're going to show you how that works and get this thing to stop squealing. First, got to get this cover off because we're going to do the oil change. Now on these all aluminum motors, the oil quality is absolutely essential. If you want this thing to last 300,000 miles, you've got to do the oil changes every 3. Do not extend oil changes on a completely aluminum motor like this is. It's aluminum bottom and aluminum top. And since we got 98,000 miles, if we want to see the next 100,000 miles, it starts today with oil changes. Now, this one is missing bolts, I noticed. There should be one here. I have one that has a screw head, and this other one back here did not. So somewhere along the line, somebody's lost this, which is good because, I mean, someone's actually been in here doing the maintenance. So probably some quick lube guy, or, you know, these things happen. You can get these screws at the hardware store, or bolts, excuse me. Now let's get to our rear ones. This seems a little excessive to do a 3,000 mile oil change, but, you know, at least Nissan thought it out. It's not hard to get at. One thing I found with this QX4, everything on it's a little labor intensive. As you've seen in the spark plug video and then even in the fuel filter video. These aren't 15-minute jobs with these cars. But they're not bad to work on either. But you definitely got to have your wit about you, and you got to have a good spot to put parts when you disassemble them so you can put them all back. Because I hate missing screws, bolts, extra parts, none necessary. And there's one hidden right over here. I don't know how we're going to show you, but we'll do our best. That one you're going to have to hit with an extension. These are 10 mil bolts. And the last one here. I didn't see one on the other side. There should be one here, so we're going to have to go get some bolts today. Okay, that one don't want to come out. Oh, it does. Now, as you see, this one does not have a screw head on it. So they didn't intend for screw heads to be here, so we're definitely going to put that style back in when we go to the hardware store today. Alright, kick our cover out of the way. Okay, so now we're going to get to our oil bolt, which is there in the back, and then we have our oil filter here. We did buy this at a Ford dealership, and it did have an oil change before we bought it, but the thought of having Motorcraft oil in a Nissan just kind of scares me, so we're fixing that today with some Castrol GTX5W30. Okay, so on the QX4 with the 3.5, the oil bolt, is oil pan bolt's right there. Now we're going to pop it loose and get our oil out. Alright, that was a perfect torque, whoever did that one last time. Kudos to you. So now we're going to let it drip and we'll move up to the oil filter next. I'm going to try to do this without having to get a tool on it, but we'll see. It's a little bit looser than I like to see them. Oh, they even give you a little drain there. Isn't that nice? Well, at least they used the genuine Nissan filter. We're going to put Fram in. And always inspect your oil quality after you're done so you can see how your motor's doing. If your motor oil's just dirty, that's great, but if you start seeing shavings and like shiny filings, yeah, you might have some problems. We're going to let this drain, clean it up, and then we're going to install our new oil filter. One thing nice about this filter is because it sits like this, you can actually pre-fill it, which is what we're going to do. I'm not going to fill it up all the way, but I am going to put a good little bit of oil in it just so we can get pressure back in our all aluminum motor here. And let's let that sit for a minute while we're waiting for the rest of our filter housing to clean up. Now we're going to go clean the housing up and then install our filter. So after it's done dripping, we're going to wipe it down with the rag and keep it pristine and clean, as this motor is. So I'll start at the top and work my way down, because obviously gravity is going to be working with you. And I'll even clean a little bit in this housing. I want to keep this motor clean and running for a long time. So if you see with our oil filter, there is some residual oil left on top. I'm actually going to use that to smear the seal on. It's okay if you get a little messy here, just clean it up. You know, you're going to lose a little bit when you turn this thing sideways. It's just how it goes. It's not a complete up and down filter. A little bit of drip's okay. It'll help lubricate the ring too. Now this thing, like I said, was a little bit looser than I like. But once it's stopped, it should be about a 3/4 turn, and that's all you need. Don't need to get crazy and put a wrench on this. I will use my right hand just to make sure. Okay, so from that, we're going to go ahead and clean it up. Alright, so that's the oil filter install. Now we're going to go ahead and get the rest of the oil out that we allowed to sit for a minute. Yeah, it might take a couple minutes, so get up, head grab a Coke. Stretch your arms out a bit. But overall, I give this about a 2 on the scale rating of 10 being the hardest, 2 being, something you should do yourself. I would give it a 1, but you got to take that front pan off, and there's 9 bolts. We only have 5 in ours, so that shows me this car's been well maintained. Good thing. Okay, at this point, we're done dripping. We're going to finish the job up. We have a neighbor going crazy on some wood today. I don't know what he's doing, but sorry about the background noise, guys. Try to keep it all automotive for you. Alright. I don't know what the exact torque spec is, but the way I do it, once I feel it stop, I just give it a little turn past, and that's all you need. That's it. Alright, now let's put our GTX in. Alright, so at this point, I'm only going to put in about 3 quarts and check it, because you do not want to overfill this motor. And then you want to start it up, make sure you got enough oil in here to start it, let it run for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then recheck and add as necessary. Now, this is the first time I've done an oil change on this particular rig, so I don't know to a T how much it takes, so that's why we're going to start with 3 and add as we need. When we turn these things sideways, you won't get that gurgle. Watch. Much more controlled, no mess. Okay, so I'm going to run it down to where it says 2.0, and that's going to leave me 2 quarts, and that way I know I put 3 in. That way I can figure out how much oil this thing actually holds. Now I'm sure I can go look in the book and all that, but I like to figure stuff out for myself. Alright, so I'm going to pull the dipstick out, and I'm going to clean it first before I even try to check it. And one thing I want to show you is how clean this dipstick is. Every used car I buy, I always look at the dipsticks and see if they're stained, and this one's not. This one is very clean, especially for almost 100,000 miles, so I know the oil's been taken care of. You'll get staining, varnish if it hasn't, so I'm really happy with that. Now I'd put it in there, it'd wait about 5 seconds before you go pulling it back out so you can get a good accurate read. Of course it helps you push it all the way down. Now we'll wait our 5 seconds. Alright, let's see what we got. Whoa, nothing. We haven't even started it yet to fill the oil pressure system back up, so, whoa, she can hold some oil. So I'm going to leave about a half a quart in the bottle, because when I don't see it read on the dipstick, there still means there's a lot to go. Alright, I'm approximately about a half a quart right there. Now let's see if our dipstick reads. First one you have is going to be inaccurate. Oh, we got oil starting to come up. But that's not an accurate read. This is one vehicle where I'm going to be very, very stringent on the maintenance. No extended oil changes, none of that garbage. Alright, at that point we have enough to start it, and then we'll fill it up and recheck it after we run it for about 2 minutes. Alright, another thing while we have it apart, I want to look underneath and check the leak. And besides the oil that we dripped for doing the oil change, we have no drips. That means our oil filter is seated, and we've done the correct torque for oil pan bolt. So we'll put that pan back on now. Other than that, this is the job done. Alright, so we're going to do our final check. Whoa, she sucked a bit of oil down, folks. Whoa. Okay, well, we're going to put the rest of what we have in and go to the store and probably have to add another quart. That's a little oil pan, but this thing must have a hell of a hold somewhere. Nice, good honey oil. That's what I love about Castrol GTX. Most stuff works too. Okay, let's see what we got. I'm going to go over here in the light and see if we can catch it quick. So I have to say 5 1/4 quart because it's not completely full yet, but it's there. I mean, it's close. So about 1/4 quart off, so 5 1/4 quart system. So you're going to have to buy 6 quarts when you do this and then play with it. You don't want to overfill it. This is time will be tedious, and, you know, having a little extra due diligence will pay in big dividends when this motor lasts 300,000 and your buddy that just bought a new car is replacing his motor because he didn't change his oil. Final check. That's so close, I'm just going to call it 5 quarts, and you're going to have to add some in about 2 weeks. So, other than that, we are done, folks. Thanks for watching.